Good afternoon. The college has three strategic priorities, and these are leadership, digital, and diversity. And that's what Mike and I are going to talk with you about this afternoon. These are interconnected and interdependent, and leadership, you all know it, is of the utmost criticality. The reason that we've chosen these three priorities is that we consider them to be preconditions for policing mission success. But not just leadership, because often the assumption is made that that's just people who have a lot of silver on their shoulders, are very senior in their careers and so on. And we are focused on leadership at all levels, because from the moment that a recruit becomes an officer, they exercise a leadership function. I've seen it myself in response teams and right across the service. Now, the college has some great leadership products, but not yet a fully coherent and comprehensive approach. And the 20K uplift gives us a chance to depart from what we've done and do something comprehensive and convincing. It's essential to have an offer that takes everyone, officers and staff, on a journey to fulfill their policing potential. And learning and development need to be relational. Continuing professional development, CPD, is a good example, not transactional. What do I mean by that? I mean that it's a lifetime. It's not just going on a course. This is something that everybody carries with them. And for sure, abstraction is a misleading term, because really what that's all about is investing in people. There are, of course, many styles of leadership. Look about you, you can see them. But there's only one standard, and that's what the college is there to promote. There are not 43 plus. Support through mentoring, coaching, the Supers toolkit is crucial, and we'd like to amplify that. So we plan to curate learning from inside and outside of policing in order to keep British policing at the cutting edge of world class, as Mike will explain.
Thanks, Christine. And I obviously endorse everything that Christine has said about the criticality of leadership. And we, of course, do some great work with the association on leadership. We have the Aspire program. We have done joint coaching and mentoring workshops and development. And we have also developed with you the Superintendent's Toolkit. We're really proud of these achievements. But what we are yet to have across policing is this coherent and comprehensive approach to leadership development. And it's fundamental that we develop that. It's fundamental that we introduce it. So what we are planning, and we're in the very early stages of this, is to develop within the college a single approach to leadership development that takes people from their very first forays into leadership. As Christine says, people entering the service have leadership responsibilities, right the way through to the most senior positions in policing. And we need that to have a very clear line of travel so that people can be much more systematic about their leadership development. What this will require is a new approach to continuous professional development. This will be a very significant cultural challenge for policing. We are a long way away from where we need to be in relation to CPD. And that is the big shift that this leadership development approach is calling for. We will need to identify people very early on and encourage them and stimulate them and give them opportunities to develop their leadership. And it is my firm belief that we will have better chief officers, we'll have better superintendents, we'll have better senior police staff if we begin their leadership development journey a lot earlier than we currently do. So that is the plan. We're looking to start early with this. We're looking to start by trying out what a national standard and a national approach would be to the development of first line leaders. And then we hope to bring that out and use this for all levels of leadership across policing, and where we can dovetail with other providers, with other leadership development offers across the country. I actually believe that this will be an eye-catching, important development for policing that will gain national and international interest. And we want you and the Superintendents Association to be very much part of how we develop it. Really looking forward to working with you on this.
So, why digital? Let me try and answer that. First of all, digital is no longer niche, and every crime can have a digital aspect. It's a daily occurrence. How the public engages is changing. Police have body-worn cameras. You attend a crime scene and you will see countless people there making their own films. But other things that we might note are neighbourhood watch, how that is done these days, social media, how we gather information from that. The use of victim and witness data is challenging and legally challenging too. We absolutely have to maintain legitimacy and public trust. So the college is in the process of setting up an independent ethics panel that will cover data aspects. Next, we need a more digital workforce. New talent and skills are needed to fill the gap. We acknowledge that we simply don't have enough of people with the right sort of skills. And by the way, I don't think that we can assume all millenniums are digital natives just because they game, can use a mobile phone and a computer. Question we have to ask ourselves, I think, is how well prepared are policing leaders across the piece to embrace and embed what is a new culture? Out there, we're contending with the proliferation of disinformation. To take a couple of examples on public health, some of the nonsense that was promulgated about COVID and COVID treatments. And of course, hate crime. But by the way, it's not just the big ticket glamorous things, or so the public think. There is a lot of pervasive low-level crime that needs tackling day in, day out. It is the new normal. So our strategic themes are, with digital, new tech, old crimes, but also innovation, new ways of doing things. Who would have thought you could send a drone through a cat flap to do a piece of acquisitive crime? There are integrated systems within policing and beyond, so into healthcare, social care, and other parts of the system too. There's escalating demand, and tech is the solution to controlling that, as well as the problem. It can help with prediction big time too, and there should be productivity gains. The scale, speed, mobility, resources, and know-how of criminals are pretty daunting. There's also tech convergence, the Internet of Things being the obvious example, where a lot of devices can talk to one another and we have information that can be gathered. So what we think is that the COVID paradigm shift, which we've all gained from being on this platform for this conference, is not to be lost. And the college plans to build on it, doesn't it, Mike?
So it is absolutely self-evident that the advances in digital technology are presenting huge challenges and opportunities to policing. It is also self-evident to me that the policing has yet to take full advantage of those opportunities and to prepare itself for the challenges. So what are we doing? Well, the first thing that we are doing, we're very involved in the Digital Intelligence and Investigations Programme, where we are looking to upskill the people coming into policing to make sure that they have the skills necessary to deal with the modern day challenges of community safety. But it's really important as we build this digital investigations and intelligence capability that we think about what are the challenges out there and that we keep that fresh. There is no one stop, one position of upskilling people forever and a day. We need to keep this moving. And so we've developed the Capability Improvement Hub, which looks at what those challenges are and keeps us abreast of them, and the Digital Learning and Knowledge Base, which builds products based on that intelligence to help us keep our staff updated. But what is really important, and it goes back to my previous comments about leadership, is that we have leaders who understand this too. There is a requirement for leaders at all levels to keep themselves abreast of what are the challenges out there, and how do we best as a police service face those challenges, and how do we optimize the opportunities that new technology brings us also. So the leadership development and the digital development both sit hand in glove. There are also other opportunities that we in the college are looking to absolutely mine. The first is that we want to be able to use technology to share knowledge much more effectively, much more quickly, to get information to people at all levels in policing to help them make better decisions. Our new website was launched last week, which gives people, everyone in policing, access to our products and services, and we want to use that as the platform to share knowledge. We also want that to be the platform for a new approach to virtual learning. We are developing an approach to virtual learning which is much more integrated, which is much more modern, which feels a lot better, and which responds much more clearly to the needs of people who are doing the learning. Finally, what we have also introduced is the opportunity to assess people online. Now, we know that this is an emergency measure for people coming into policing during COVID, but at the end of this process, we want to be able to fully evaluate what that online assessment has done and how we can use that going forward into the future. And that's not just for people coming into policing. We're introducing online examinations. This is something we've been looking to do for many years, but the COVID crisis has given us the opportunity to really accelerate that work and introduce it for this year. Again, we'll evaluate it, we'll keep thinking about whether it is optimal and what needs improving. But I hope you'll agree that these are significant developments for policing, and we want to make sure that they're enduring developments and that we keep pace with the advances in technology that are presenting the opportunities and the challenges that Christine has spoken about.
That brings us to diversity, and that's been used as shorthand, obviously embracing inclusion, transparency, etc. So let's look to ourselves to start with. It's very clear from all sorts of research that the bottom line, if you like, the budget, is a better performing, motivated workforce that makes better decisions. And that is the big dividend of diversity. Difference, when it's valued and well managed, is a proven strength. It's reflective of the society in which we all live. Now, personally, I see inclusion as actually part of well-being. If you are not included, you won't feel as good as you can. And well-being, both personal and organisational. And it is, of course, fundamental to police legitimacy and trust. There are challenges, and we've seen the very recent and tragic challenge of George Floyd's death. That brings a real urgency to this topic. Change is needed now, and that means change by all of us. I put myself first in line and started my reflection on this by asking, what do I need to do? What can I change? What can I help and support other people to change? Well, one of the things we can all help with is supporting difference into senior roles. And leaders themselves, that's you, need to role model inclusion. Words are no longer good enough if ever they were. People want to see action and visible support from key influencers such as the police superintendents. Let me just briefly say what the college is doing, the college board. Within my first 100 days tenure, I was able, with the board's support, to appoint an advisor, Dr. Rubina Shah, who's a bit of an expert in this area, to start setting up an ethics panel. We're also establishing a strategic reference group which will look at papers that the board refers to it. It's going to comprise representatives from diverse parts of the college, and that will give us a different perspective that we don't have right now. We're also recruiting a boardroom apprentice specifically from an ethnic minority group. And that will be a competitive process, but we hope by helping somebody have a view and learn how to be on a board, it will set them up for later opportunities. And we have a root and branch focus on process reform, the day-to-day stuff, but intention is no longer good enough. Superintendents have been at the forefront of action on diversity and inclusion, and I particularly note the president, of course, Paul Griffiths, who's on the college board. The college and NPCC, together with the staff associations, are leading the national plan. This must get done.
I know that this audience is aware of the point I'm about to make, but let me re-emphasize it. That when we talk about diversity and inclusion, we are fundamentally talking about policing legitimacy. The British policing model turns on generating and enhancing the trust and confidence of the communities that we serve. Without that trust and confidence, the British policing model fails. And so the generation of that trust and confidence, the generation of that legitimacy is of fundamental operational importance. So we're talking about something here which is elemental to the British policing way. It is hugely important. And it feels at the moment in the past month, certainly since the death of George Floyd, who remember died at the hands of a police officer, that this whole issue of inclusion, diversity, equality feels more urgent and prescient than it has felt for some time. So action is required. And I'm very pleased to be jointly chairing the approach to the service approach to the challenges of diversity with Martin Hewitt, the chair of National Police Chiefs Council. We are doing things, and I'm really proud of the work that we have been doing. And some of the work I'm most proud of is work that we have done with the association, particularly in developing and training over 1,000 people to be mentors and coaches of people from underrepresented groups. And that mentoring, that coaching, that role modeling is hugely important to enhancing the service approach to inclusion and diversity. But I think we all accept there is so much more to be done. So much more to be done in terms of positive action, in terms of peer support, in terms of inclusion, in terms of progression, in terms of retention. And so we are working hard at the moment to look at what further guidance is required. How do we work with the service to implement things that are already out there, such as the NPC strategy and toolkit? How do we engage with the inspectorate to inspect against those standards? How do we think of new standards which need to be introduced and which the service will sign up to? And how do we need to be a lot clearer about our expectations in terms of behaviours and in terms of operational standards? There is much for us to do. And as Christine has said already, this is about action, not about the development of words on a page. So our action has started. We're looking forward to continuing it. You as an association are pivotal to that, and nothing in this sphere will happen in policing without the full and active engagement of superintending ranks. And that's something that I've always appreciated. So thanks again for your support with this. There is a lot to do, and let's join forces on this issue with the urgency that it requires and demands.